Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Thursday Night Scrap Your Scraps. Thank you very much for your patience the last couple of weeks. I've been in and out of town, and it's been tricky to get Wi-Fi in some of the places I've been, so I have been posting older things that I have done from 2020 when I first started this YouTube channel. So I hope you were enjoying those. Tonight we're going to work on a one-page layout, and it is going to be a mixed media layout. So there's a little bit of media, a little bit of dimensional flowers, and it's a one page with a single picture in it. In this case, I have my brain thinking a picture of my pet, but it could be anybody or anything. This is my version of a layout that I saw on Pinterest, which unfortunately I haven't been able to find since. It's one that I saved into my drive quite a while ago. So if it is your layout, I apologize for not giving you credit for this, but I'm doing my my own thing with it as well. Alrighty, so let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I've asked you to pull out sheets of yellow and coral, or two colors that you wanted. In my case, I wanted yellow and coral, so I've got a whole whack of I have one larger piece which I need to cut for a frame, and then I have a whole bunch of random other pieces, so make sure you have those handy. I also suggested you grab a couple of flowers and some butterflies. Now my butterflies don't coordinate necessarily, so I'm going to be changing the color of that and showing you how to do that. So I'm going to put those up there. My flowers I like, and I've got a variety of small and large. Some leafy bits to incorporate in that, and sort of a viney bit that I'm going to use in there as well. So I'll put those up there. I am using Picket Fence spray, and mine is really thick, so I might have to actually take the lid off to drop it on my mat. Make sure you have a mat. And we're going to do our media first because it has to dry, and then we'll do our frame. So you have seen the picture, so you know where we're headed. And I'm just going to now clear a bit of a space. So that I don't need now. My circle cutters I don't need now. I keep all of my stencils. I usually get small stencils because I don't really like large, because I never do a whole page. I usually just do parts of a page. So I have my small stencils, and I have a random smattering of things. So whenever you can get your hands on those, that's a great thing to have. This is a snowflake. I guess it's made out of thick craft paper, or maybe even wood, actually, now that I'm looking at it. And I am going to be snipping this apart to create a filigree around the picture. So I'll show you how to do that later as well. Alrighty, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to be stenciling the corners of our page. And if I'm not mistaken, yeah, I'm going to go sort of in the corners here and down around there. And I'm going to be using, as I said, Picket Fence spray stain. It is a thick whitey paint. If you have white paint, you can use that. Something that is opaque, because we want it to show on the stencil. Alrighty, so always have a wet cloth around. These more opaque paints and sprays and oxide sprays for distress really get clogged up, so you want to try to keep them clean as much as possible. You'll sometimes find that just between uses they spew ink out, and that depends on the what is it? Pressure in the air, and the heat, and whether you have humidity, all kinds of things. So just give that a good shake. Okay, and you may have to spray it a couple of times. If mine clogs up, because I'm feeling that it has been clogging up lately, I am just going to end up using the top and just putting it on my mat. And you've probably seen this before. I use this as a shield so that when I spray it on my mat, yeah, it's not gonna give me any more. It protects things from getting stuff on it. It's right there. And you have to let those dry in between. And then this I use for junk journaling because I will splatter water on it, and I use distress dyes so it all comes up and does weird things. So now I need a little more than that, and I know my thing is clogging, so I'm just going to make sure I have my mat and everything quick and close to me. So I use my what do you call it? These ink. They're not brushes, but they're ink applicators, I guess. And I will go make sure that I'm off the page. I don't want to get the bar of my stencil. And I just go in and I start to smudge a little bit around. Try to keep it attached. Don't force underneath if you can avoid it. You want it to be all sort of on top. And just go over it with a nice coating. Now, that gives me one corner, but I want to come down a little bit more. So I'm going to find a matching set, and I'm going to start to bring my edge down. And you'll see what I mean in a minute. Being careful not to. See how I've created more by going down, by finding a matching set of stencil bits. So that will go there. And I just want a tiny bit more just right here. Okay, so there's my one corner. And I could run off a little bit more on the top. Let's see. Just pull a little bit more off on the top there. So it just gives me a corner. Do the same at the bottom. Except now I need more ink. And if you have this problem and you want to be doing other techniques like spraying, then just get yourself a splatter brush. It works pretty much just as well in terms of giving you that look of spray. It's not as even and as regular, but it will do the job. Whoop! I should not have done that. That's okay. So that goes there. Let's see. Lining up that stencil, and I'm just going to go off a little bit more here. Alrighty. And I'm going to go off a little bit more here. Now, my studio is pretty warm today, and things are drying pretty quickly. But you still want to get that done before you move on to the actual picture. Turn it around. Now this is my top down here. I'm going to do the same thing. And when you're first stamping after taking a wet blob of ink, you want to just tap, because if you push too hard, you're going to end up pushing it under. And then once you've got the really wet stuff off, you can definitely go in and twist and turn. There we go. And I'm just going to add a little more to the bottom there. Oops, there we go. And I can really kind of pull whatever's left on here to just do a little at the bottom. There we go. And then my last bottom corner, I'm not going to do quite as much on this one. Try to get it in the same pattern. And I'm just going to do a little bit of the corner, so I don't need as much stuff. And you can always, because you have a stencil that's pattern and directional, you can always catch the pattern. So if you don't like it, you can add more. You just can't take it away. So I just want to do a little bit more here, a little bit more focused. There we go. Alrighty. So with my wet cloth, I know I'm going to wash up later, but it's a good idea to get the ink off your template as soon as you can. And then also on the back will be some. And wipe down this because you don't want that to be in your space. And everything gets cleaned up properly in the end. This I will just tamp off on my mat as much as I can, and until hardly any comes off. And that I will actually adhere. And you also want to wipe your spray nozzle so it doesn't get jammed. And I'm going to put this aside because I want that to dry. I'm going to stick this with Velcro to the lid. Okay, so I'll show you one of my other ones that I have it attached to. So I just take a piece of Velcro and I glue the Velcro to the now it's not coming off. I've had huge amounts of humidity, which is making things that stick not stick at all. Okay, so there's my loopy part of Velcro. It's not the soft part, it's the hard part, and I just stick my thing to it. So I know I've got a smudger thingy sponge for that particular color, rather than keeping it in a separate container, which doesn't really make sense to me, because you're going to be using it over and over again until it's all damaged and unable to be used. I even do that with my glue, so my distress glue and my gilding glue, and anything that I'm applying with a sponge, I just add that to it and stick it on with some Velcro. Yes, unfortunately I do throw away the other side of the Velcro, because the fluffy side isn't really worth anything to me. So, alright, so we're wiped down, clean as much as we can be, and now let's, oh, it's a little wet. I'm going to get myself a piece of paper towel. And my paper towels, I try to get the ones that are small halves, but my paper towels, as I work and they get dirty, I just keep them for junk journal, because I have some really interesting looking ones. So there's, you know, and you tear this stuff apart. So this has got shimmer on it and all kinds of interesting things. It's got some glitter stuff to it, different colors, and I'll just take it and smush it into my junk journal to give me some interesting color and texture. And I might even wet it to see if I can get it to move even more than it is. So paper towels, don't throw them out. Add color if you have to. Alrighty, so now we're going to do the frame, which is going to go around the picture. And I'm going to do I'm going to do 1, 2, so 1, I'm going to do quite a few cuts for this. I'm just looking at it. Okay, so the outside edge of this I want to have as a white. So, and I only want a thin white edge. So I'm going to go, oh, you know what we have to do? We do have to color this. Before we go on, we're going to just quickly color this because we're going to take it apart later. I forgot about that. So, get that white out again, wherever I stuffed it. There it is. And this time, I'm just going to spray right on it. Find a side I like. Yeah, no, this isn't what it's. And I'm just going to spray right on it. And of course, as you can see, it's clogged again. So, we just get and I'm not really worried if it's white. I just want to take down that brownie hue. This is really jammed up. I'm going to have to soak that. So I'll go over it a couple of times. And it will absorb quite a bit, so just don't go to the point of being completely solidly white, because that's too much. It'll be too stark. And it doesn't matter if it's super even. It's actually nicer if it isn't, because it looks kind of alrighty. And if you have some left over, you can just pop it along the edges there. Now remember that MDF gets wet, and it's like paper, so you don't want to go so much over it with such a thick spray that you end up having trouble with the end result. So just tapping the weight, pull it off your mat, just on the edges there, at the top edges. We're going to cut them anyway, so we might go back in and just touch them up, but it really doesn't matter. It all adds to the effect. Alrighty, so closing that again, wiping it off, wiping this off, putting that to dry. Alrighty. Lid on that. That goes over there. Dry off my mat, because now we're using paper, and paper doesn't like water. Alrighty. Okay, so now back to what I was doing. So I'm going to make a couple of cuts. So I'm going to start with, I thought I was going to use this one, but I think I'm going to use this one. This is going to be the outer edge that's white. Oh, maybe not. Maybe that will be the outer edge that's white. That might be a little too big. Yes. So this, we're going to do the outer edge in white. So just grab a random white piece of paper that you have lying around. Okay. And I need my blades. So I'm going to do 3 sizes. going to do my biggest outer size first, and that should be the blue blade, if I'm not mistaken. No, I'm going to use the red. I want the thinnest blade. So using the red blade to cut the outside circle, I always try to get as close to the edge as possible. And you want to keep it moving. You don't want to dig in too hard, because if you dig in too hard, you'll just jam into the mat you're using if you're using this kind of product for your circles. Whoop. See, and then it jumps. So then you just go back. There we go. So there's our biggest circle. All right. Now, I'm going to use my blue blade. And is that going to work for me? Yeah, that should be pretty good. So I'm going to find the center-ish. Okay. Do my blue blade around the outside edge. Okay. Then I'm going to take my green blade and go around the inside edge. Make sure it's about even, Steven. There we go. Okay. And then my red blade. We'll do the next round. The nice thing is you can just pop them out as long as you hold everything. Okay. So I'm going to take the outside edge, and then the second one I'm removing because that's the green blade, and then I'm going to have my inside edge, and I'm going to do the same thing for my colored paper. So as soon as I remember where I put that, there we go. So this is the outside edge and the red blade. Now I'm going to do the green blade and the red blade, I think. Let me figure it out. Sorry. Just don't want to make a mistake. So, red blade and green blade. Was that first one? Green blade. So I want to do the red blade and the blue blade. Okay, so we're starting with the blue blade. Okay, and you'll see what happens after we've done that. Make sure that I have enough room. There we go. Blue blade. Okay. So this blue blade should fit inside that red blade, or that white outer line, and then this one will fit on that inner line, and then this one, is that, yes it is. Okay. and then we're going to stick that all together. Okay, and that's going to be the frame for our photo, which we're going to make sure has 1/8 of an inch of a rim. Well, actually, I can do more than that. Why don't I do more than that? So, it's just going to be too big. So I think I need to go down to my smallest size. Let's see, because that is that cut. Yes. So I need to get my other circle, which is my tinier circle. And you'll have to probably go over this several times as you're cutting this, just to double check that you have the right circles and the right cuts. Because it's a challenge if you are following it for the first time. But I can tell you the measurements of the circle as well, so that you get, and I think this is the one I want. Yes. Okay. So now I'm going to take these off. I'm going to put this in the center. Use my guidelines. It's always a good thing to do. Okay. And then we're going to line this up in the center. So smallest one with the blue blade on the outside edge. And then I'll give you the measurements of the actual okay. Alrighty. So outer ring, inner rings, and I'm going to take the edge off of that, and that will go in the center. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, and then I want to do the outer ridge? Yep. Then I want to do this one. Now you can do this with, paper, and just have, instead of having rings, you can just have all circles, layers of circles, one on top of the other. Oh, can't get there. There we go. All right. So 1, 2, 3. Oh, I don't want that one. That's why I took that off. So I'm going down to a 3. So this one is garbage. Don't want that one. Didn't want that one. And this now we're going to cut as a 3. I'm a little thin on one side, but once you get the picture in there, you won't notice that much. Okay, try that again. Outside, inside, on top, inside, and then I need to cut this with a red blade. Just double check that. So if this is going in here, I need it to be I need a green blade. Yes, green blade. Whoop. So we're doing the last cut is a green blade. And at last, my cutter. There it is. They do go flying. So moving this back up, centering it, more or less. There we go. Hopefully that is all we need to do. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess we could have just had it all cut out of, there we go, something like that. Okay, and there's our frame. Our little puppy goes in the middle. All right, or whoever goes in the middle. And there you have it. So that's ready to get put onto our mat. So let me measure that for you. So we need 3 rings or 3 circles. The outside diameter of the outside of the first ring is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 3/4, and the inside ring is, oops, that's not right. Let's try that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 7/8 for the outside of the outer ring, and the inside of the outer ring is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5. Okay, that's the outside. Then we have a ring that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the outside, and 1, 2, 3, 4 7/8 on the inside. And then we have a white ring that is, oops, one, 2, 3, 4 2 3/8 on the outside, 4 3/8 on the outside, and on the inside it's 1, 2, 3, 4 1/8. Okay, so if you're doing just plain circles and stacking, you would take the outside measurement to make the circles. Okay, now the large inside ring is on the outside 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 3/8, and on the inside it is 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me line that up with something. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4 7/8. And then the final pattern circle is, and this is the mounting for your picture, is 1, 2, 3, 4 1/8. Okay, and that gives you all the rings you need for building that. Okay, so now let's come down to our paper. This is, oh, it's pretty dry. If it's not dry, take a quick minute and use your heat gun. Just go over it a little bit to make sure that it's all dried up. Okay, and then put that aside because we don't need it. Now we are going to use some of this for our strips, and we're going to do some cutting of strips. Now all the strips are 5/8 of an inch. Let's do that first. Get all the cutting done before we have to do anything else. Just gonna minimize a minute here. All right, so get your cutter, and from the pattern that is behind your picture, you should have some remaining. You're going to cut, first of all, I'm going to get rid of that circle part, or not. This is not the best way to use your cutter, but it will help me get my brain on things. All right, so now I am going to cut this. Okay, it's probably easier to use my larger trimmer because I can that's not easy either. 3 trimmers. Here we go. This is better. Alrighty. Now normally I don't use this for heavy paper, but I think I have to for today because I can see my lines over here and measure my 5/8. So 2, 4, 5/8, and I am going to cut 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strips of this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oop, that's not right. That goes back in my container. 4 and 5. All right, so there's my 5 strips of plain peachy color, because that's the color I chose. And I'm going to vary the lengths of them. And I'm going to vary the lengths of them because I want to have some variety. So I think at the top I'm going to have the full size. And I think at the side I'm going to take off 3/4 of an inch. So that's full, 3/4 of an inch. All right, so there's 1, there's 2. Oh, I did it to 2. That's okay. Just going to take off another 1/4 of an inch off the second one. So the third one is, how about I say this properly? So the first one is 6 1/4 inches. The second one is 5 1/4 inches. Actually, I don't like 6 1/4. So we're going to redo that. The first one is 5 1/4 inches. The second one is 5 1/2 inches. Actually, we're going to switch that. 5 1/2 inches for the first one, 5 1/4 inches for the second one. Four and 3/4 inches for the third one. 5 3/4 inches for the fourth one. Actually, we're going to leave the fourth one 6 inches. And the fifth one we're going to leave 6 inches too. There we go. We'll talk through them when we go and put them on. So there's our first color. Now I was going to use the back, but I find that a little bit light. But I also don't think that is the right color. That's That's got dots. That's got stripe. So you know what? I think under the circumstances, this is what I got. Okay. So I am going to cut, that's 6 1/4 inches. Alrighty, I am going to cut 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these again. The longest one is, just want to make sure. Yeah, longest one is 6 1/4 inches or 6 inches, whatever. It's not really that big a deal. And now we're going to cut 5/8 strips. There's 1, 2, 3. I hope I have enough. Yeah, I should. 4. And, ooh, just barely. I have to be careful about it because there's nothing supporting it on the one side. 5. There we go. I can go back in my small stash. Right. Okay. So now we're doing the back sides of this. Let's figure out what I did before. I did how many of these? That's 6 1/4. Just want to trim that messy edge off there. I have 1. It's got a messy edge as well. So 2 at 6 1/4. So I'll just take 2 at 6 1/4. And then I have, excuse me. That's annoying. Get out of there, you. Can't get that little, oh, I went flying. Don't know where. And then I have 1 at 5 1/4. So we make 1 5 1/4. So that matches. That matches. Uh-oh, what's going on here? Okay, what are these? These are 2 different ones. This one is okay, I made it 5 1/2, so I'm going to make it 5 1/4. I'll go over this again, sorry. So 5 1/4. That's 5 1/4. And this one is now I've lost my number. So we have 1 2 1 2 3 3 4 4. Alrighty, that makes sense now. So this one I'm going to make 5. So that's 5, and then the pink one is going to be 5. And then this one is 4 3/4. Okay, and this one is going to be 4 3/4. Alrighty, there we go. So we have the exact same amount and the exact same number for that one. Now we are going to do the same thing for yellow. And I have a number of different yellows. Oh, I had that one too, but that's too bad name. Okay, so these guys are good to go. And I'm going to try and keep them flip-flopped so I don't get confused, as I have been. Alright, so I'm just going to set them aside. Alrighty, now these guys are going to be a little shorter. I think the longest I'm going to have these is 5 inches, and I just have to decide which one. The backs of these are not yellow, so I'm looking at all of these and I'm deciding which one is going to coordinate with these papers and add some interest as a pattern. And these can be patterned, like both of them can be patterned. I like this pattern, it's pretty wild. I'm going to wait and see. For the second one, so these are my flowers. For the second one, see, I don't think I have enough of this. I need to have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of this. And this, so this is 5/8. This I could squeeze enough out of. This one I don't have enough out of. And this one is exactly the right width, so I'm keeping that, but I have more of it. So what do we do here? What do we do? What do we do? I think this is a good complement because it's got the yellows in it and the peaches in it. I can not do 5 out of that. No, because it's just under 5/8. Nope, can't use that. Okay, we're stuck with this. So which of these, I like that one. Now which of these remaining ones are going to complement these colors on my, okay, this I think is 2 gold. And this is going to be in there too. I feel like this is not a good choice. I also feel like this is not a good choice. Now we're down to 3. I think I'm going to take that one out and use this one. All right, good. So now we figured that out. We are going to cut some strips. So the first strips I have to cut are, double check. Oh no, these are smaller, 5-inch strips. So I'm going to do 5-inch strips. I think I'm just going to make them all 5-inch strips. Make my life easier. So they have to be 5/8 first of all. And that I think is 5/8. Yeah. Okay, there's 2, 4, 5/8. Just a little over. Oops, I slipped a little. Okay, there's 5/8. And that's 5/8. Perfect. Okay, so those are done. And I need 5/8 of this. And 5/8. Ooh, it moved. That's not good. It's a bit off, but I'm hoping I can hide that side. Let's just trim this properly. Okay. because this needs to be 5/8. 2, 4, 5/8. Yeah, that was not at all good. There we go. Thank goodness I had enough. Alrighty. And these guys are going to be 5 inches. And I need 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. I hope I have enough of these. I might have to add another pattern. 1, 2. No, I think I can do it. 3. 4. Yay! Did it! 5. These are all 5 inches. And now I'm going to do this one. This one may not work because I have to do it 5 inches. Hmm. 5 inches. 1. 2. Yeah, I'm only going to get 4 out of that, so I might have to pull something else in, which is fine. Unless 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do 3 at 4 inches. 1, 2, and 3. Awesome. The reason I'm doing that is because there's a section where it curves around like this, and I might be able to use the 4 inches at that point. Okay, all this stuff, let's take, I'm going to keep, toss, toss, toss. So I'm only keeping big pieces to use in my little strip container. Okay, that goes there, that goes there. All right, and now it's time to start to lay things out. So we are going to, first of all, which do I want to be the top and the bottom? I might need a few more flowers. Yeah. Like that. Like that. Okay, I'm going to use it this way. And now I'm going to kind of figure out my circles here. So if I have my circles, and this is going to be where the picture is. Oops, and I dropped a circle. And this is the outer ring. The outer ring is just a little too big. Wonder if I can possibly cut that down. Well, I'll just leave it there for now. Okay, so there is where my picture is going to go, right in the dead center of that. Let's pretend it's there. All right, picture. And then rings, but the picture will come about there to give you 3 rings. Anyway, alrighty. So now I'm going to start to lay out my colors. My longest pieces are going to be on the outside edges. So I'm going to have, actually I'm going to have a 6-inch down here. 6-inch maybe in the middle-ish. Then 5-inch. Okay, now I've lost myself again. So 1, 2. Sorry guys, it wasn't a good idea to mix them up, unfortunately. So we have, okay, we have those 6 inches, and that goes there, that goes 1, 2, 3, and that goes there, that goes there, yep, taking these guys, and this goes there. Okay, there we go. So starting with our big ones, we're going to have a big one here, and then, sorry, I'm going to do a big one on the bottom that's one color. Big one here of the plain, big one of the pattern, big one plain about here, big one of the pattern about there. And these two guys I want to align. This one is going to go somewhere there, and that one's going to be a few. Oh, okay. Then I want the smallest one I have, which is this one, is going to go here. And it's going to align with that one. And then the next size up, I'm going to have is going to be on this side, the largest one I have on that side. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. So this one is going to go out very far till about here. This one is going to be there. Actually, you can play around with it. I'm noticing that our circle's going to go over it anyway, so it's neither here nor there. Okay, so we have this. We're going to have that. Then we're going to have this. And this is shorter. And then we're going to have another one of these, which will come out and line up with these three are gonna somehow line up. And then I have, yeah, I have to space this a little more. So this guy's going to go in there. Okay. I just didn't want to waste a lot of paper underneath there. so I don't think it really matters. And then if we have, these guys are all the same except for the top two. I'm going to put a yellow there, and I'm going to put a yellow here. I'm going to use a small one because I only have small ones. Yellow there, and I'm going to use a big yellow down here, and then another small yellow one right here. And they're going to have like 1/8 of an inch between them, but I got to play around with them. And then this yellow one, that's all I have. 1, 2, 3, 4 is going to go here, and the flowers are going to cover it, so that should be okay. Those guys are going to kind of go like that. And then I'm going to have these guys in between these guys, and so it's pattern, pattern, plain, pattern, 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 plain, pattern, 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 plain, pattern. I thought I measured this right. Pattern, pattern, plain, pattern. These might be too wide actually, but let's see what happens. Aha, I have one less of these. Okay, that can go to the side. So now that gives me sort of an idea of how I'm going to lay this out, and my picture's going to go on top. So now what I'm going to do is make sure I'm centering this, and I'm going to give it 1/8 of an inch from the top edge, and I'm also going to center this one on the bottom with that one. So I'm just playing around with where I'm laying them. So let's just get some adhesive and start sticking them down. So I have to stand up a little bit to do this, and I'm eyeballing about 1/8 of an inch from the top so I see some of that white, and I'm eyeballing approximately centered. Ooh, that might be a little more than 1/8 of an inch at the top. There we go. All right, so now this next one, I'm going to give it some space from the other one so you can see the gray background, the minky colored background. And this one is going to go about 1 inch out, but with about 1/16 of an inch in between it and the one above. So you see some space, just a little bit. And then this one, I am going to put underneath that, and it's going to go about 1 inch out. So these two, there we go. Okay, you're starting to see the flow there. And then the next one, I'm going to push it back a bit. And I'm going to push this back till about there. Okay, this one, I'm going to push it out again, and it's going to match this one here. Okay, this one. This one is going to go even further out, around there. And then this one is going to go almost to the edge with the 16th. There we go. And then this one is going to drop back drastically to, let's see, matching that one up there. Or maybe more. I think there would be good. And then this one. This one is going to match just sort of right about there. Not quite matching that, not quite matching that. That's a bit far, so let me ease that up a little. And then this one. Now I might have to do some adjusting. That's fine. Okay, and then this one is going to go back here. A little too tighter. There we go. And then this one is going to go, this is plain, so that's going to go out. We're going to match these two. So try to sort of align them. There we go. And then this one is going to go in a little more. Okay, we may have to adjust a few things. Yeah. You may have to knock something off. Okay. Ooh. Alrighty, so now we are down here. This piece is going to go there. And then I took this piece out. I don't want to keep two yellows together because this is actually lighter than that. So I'm going to ditch this one as my first thing to ditch because we're getting close here. And this one is going to go here. And then this one, might have to ditch that one. See what happens. My math did not work out. So I will point that out in the notes. I'll be more specific. Okay, and then this one needs to be centered. Okay. Center this one. always squeeze one in there. So let's see. Okay, so this one I want to center. So I'm going to eyeball centering it. And let's see. Eyeball centering it. Something like that. I'm going to trim this one narrower and this one narrower because we can almost get a set in, and I really want to try to do that. So where's my little mini cutter, which was here a second ago? Okay, I'm just going to take my mini cutter and I'm just going to take maybe an 1/8 off. And that can go. And I'm going to take the size I want. No, I want this size. I'm going to take an 1/8 off. Okay. And whoa, that just fits in. Awesome. Okay. So we're going to put that down. Adjusting as we go. And what has happened? I must have bumped myself here. Okay, so now this one is going to come out there. And this one is going to shift down there. Beautiful. All right, we did it. Woo! That was stressful. Okay, and then this guy is going to squeeze in there. All right, there we go. So there's our sort of cascading strips. Now, this I'm going to adhere, but you know what? I'm not happy with the width of this, so I am going to trim it back. And if I'm not mistaken, oh no, I only have a 1/16 of an inch there. So I probably can't really trim this back. I don't think. Well, I can, but it's going to be tricky. I'm going to have to glue it to my mat. But it's not like I haven't done that before. Okay, so here's what you do. You want to get a fast drying glue, and you're just going to take your fast drying glue and go all the way around the outside. Don't worry if you get it on the actual piece too. This is just to stick down temporarily. Okay, and make sure that I flip this over. Okay, I want to have it centered. Okay, so let's see if we can do this. Should be interesting. An experiment. All right. I don't think so. Don't think it's quite going to work. Well, we can take a little bit. Nope. It's not going to work. Doesn't want to stay. Give it one more try, because I don't like giving up easy. If you hold it, no, okay. It doesn't want to work, so we're not going to make it work. And I'm just going to push that together when I glue it down. Alrighty, so let's go back to our layout. And now we're going to glue where our picture goes. Get some white on there. Okay, I've already started to glue this, so now what I want to do is just make sure that I can stick that in. Alright, so we are going to glue this. Put more glue on it. You can use any kind of glue you want. It's just tricky to use a tape runner because the tape runner will pull on your circle, and if it pulls on your circle, there's a possibility that you will get it will tear, so you want to kind of avoid that. Alrighty, so here we go, and I think I'm going to put that over where the flowers will likely end up being. I have to have a title, so now I'm just going to push those two things together. There we go. It's not perfect. Oh, that's where the flowers are going. Now I got a little bit of glue there, so what I'm going to do is take my glue eraser and very lightly just go over and take that off as much as I can without ruining what's going on with the what am I trying to say? What's going on with the inking we did. Alright, so this one I'm actually going to use a tape runner because it's thicker. And we're just going to see where it fits the best. There we go. Sometimes when I do my cutting, I have like a little bit of a uneven pressure in a certain direction, so I try to make sure that it kind of aligns with how I cut the previous circle. Just putting a bit of glue there. Okay. And then we're going to glue this guy on top of that one. This goes. I use my liquid adhesive for this one because it's very thin. Little dots of glue all the way around. With this particular glue, you can even let it dry just a bit if you choose to, because it will still stick on. And it will stick on. If you put it on wet, you can move it around a little. If you let it dry, once it sticks, it's pretty much stuck down. Okay. And then this is going to go in there. So I'm also going to use, in retrospect, it would have been better, I think, to do circles. So if you have done that, kudos to you, because you did it the easy way. I might even suggest that, actually. Just making circles. Full circles. Alright. So that fits in there. All right, and then we have our final layer, which is our mat. Alrighty, our mat is going to go here. There we go. All right, so our picture will go there, in there. Imagine it dark. All right. And now we have to put the other things on. So, let's see. I wanted to put 2 butterflies on, and I'm going to change the color of the butterflies. So I'm just going to put this aside to dry, and now I'm going to change the color of the wings of these butterflies. Okay, so I want one that is not bluish. I want it to be more grayish. And I have an ink that I can use, but I have to water it down or else it will end up being too strong and too dark. So let's get my inks out. Alrighty. And I'm going to take away the bluishness. So I'm using something called hickory smoke. I don't know if that makes any difference to you. And I am going to use a paintbrush with a round tip. And I'm just going to smush this down. It's quite dark on its own. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sprinkle, I'm going to sprinkle water on my butterfly so that the ink will draw in to the butterfly. I'm going to start from the center. Alrighty. Everything has to get a bit wet. Okay. Alrighty, so that's wet. Take off the excess wet. And now I'm going to add a tiny bit of water to my ink. Swirl it around and just touch the edges where the natural butterfly wings would go. And then make sure you do underneath. I'm going to do underneath completely. And touching the edges again where it would naturally go. Doing underneath. Now I'm going to take some straight ink, just dry off my brush a little bit, and I'm going to paint the body part because it should be a little darker. Oh, these guys are falling apart. Isn't that interesting? That's right. And I'm just going to tap some dark ink in there. Okay. And I'm going to continue to color this little thing. This is part of his body. And it's very weird color. Right now, it's like beige. So I'll try to stain it a little bit darker. Okay. Stain that as well. And this as well. And I'm going to stain these bright white if I can. They might be plastic. I'm going to try and just take the color off of those too. All right, now I'm going to just run this through all the ink. And then take a little more ink and darken those edges just a bit. Okay, put some plain water and try to draw that ink in. There we go. Starting to pull in from the outside edges. Take some more of that ink. So now it is no longer blue. And, oops, don't want to put water on my pad. Just going to really color those pieces here. Let's see if I can get a little darker on the edge there. Okay, so there's the first one. We're going to have to dry it, but we're going to not do it right now. I'm going to clean off my brush. And how I do, first of all, we're going to clean the area, because we don't want black on the other butterfly. Alrighty. And we want to use some water over here just to make sure my thing is cleaned. There we go, nice and dry, or nice and wet rather. Okay, now to change this into a sort of corally color, I'm going to use something called ripe persimmons. And I always have like a thing that I've done to see what it looks like with and without water. So we're going to put some ripe persimmon, and I keep my little doodads right in there. Don't need a Velcro. So, oh, very juicy. So we're going to put a little water here, and I'm going to take some of this and some of this and see what happens when I cover the whole piece. Okay, I'm liking what's happening there. I'm comparing it to the flowers over here. It's a little yellow, but that's okay. Because I'm going to dull it down a bit. And this is some kind of plastic thing, so I don't think I have a hope of getting that color changed. But, all right. Now, take away all of that ink. Didn't even need that much. So this is turning quite yellow. So what I want to do is take some of the water off. So I want to add some white. So I'm just going to get my white, drop some there. And this is opaque white, so it'll take the pattern on the leaves out a little bit. And I just want to tamp it down a little bit. I might have to go back and put some more of the other ink in there, but tamp down that color. So I'm going to have to put some more orange on because it's not coming through, which is no problem. Want to mute it so we have like a pale yellowy orange color coming through. A little bit more. I always start with diluted and then I go to undiluted, depending on how the color takes. Okay. A little bit of that. So now, take that with some water. Oops. Just spread it around. There we go, and it's starting to be more like what you see over there. And that's what we really want to see. Okay, and okay, so now I want to dry, but I'm going to avoid drying that stuff because I want to maybe put a little more dimension in these two things. So I'm going to just dry them off, and I will be doing this and I'll be right back to you. So these are mostly dry, not completely dry. I'm just going to take the white out of my clean up some of this area. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to take some of this red orange, mix it in with my, and see if I can get, nope, I need a little more. See if I can bleed in a little more color into where the body is. Yeah, there we go. Starting to see a little more color in there. And then a little more color along the bottom edges. So it's just like painting. You just kind of feel your way through, but you can't work it too much. This is just regular, some kind of scrapbooking type paper. This is mulberry paper, which has a little bit more ability to absorb and take some punishment. But I find with the paper that's just regular everyday paper, you end up having more trouble with okay, so I'm almost done here. Some more water. Okay, I'm just going to stop there because I think it's getting angry with me. Give one squirt and let it all kind of meld together. And I'm just going to finish this guy off with some black on his antennae. There we go. And I'm going to do that without water, just whatever's on my paintbrush. Just to darken that up a bit. Don't really know what it is. It looks like it might be string. And it's not taking the ink very well. Okay. All right. This one is melding together quite nicely. And I think we need to dry it now. All right, I'll be back shortly. Alrighty, so let's move. I just moved these off to the side. Let's move to this. So my plan is to have 1, 2, so a set of 3 and a set of 3 at the top and the bottom, and then a set of 1 at either side. So let's see if my brain is working for this. And I'm going to use a big pair of scissors rather than a small pair. And I'm just going to cut down the center of these. Try to do it without causing major problems. 2, 3. Okay. Now I need smaller scissors to cut there, 2, and 3. All right, that's not too bad. So this is a piece that's going to go at the top here. I might even make it a little wider, so we'll put that there. And then we're going to try the same thing. Yes, we're going to do 3. 1, 2, 3. Sorry, I just had a moment where I was double thinking it. And now, smaller scissors. Two and 3. Okay, and that will go in the bottom. There we go. Something like that. Then I'm just going to cut these guys off. And I think I'll just have portion of them showing. So maybe that one will go there. And then this one. So it's like a looking glass in a way. Don't like the bright white. I think I need to mellow that out just a little bit. I have this centerpiece that I'm going to hang on to. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but who knows? Alrighty, so this is becoming a whole different project. Alright, I'm just going to mellow out that white. That white is just way too bright. And I'm going to use, I think I'm going to use a graphite pencil rather than ink, because I want to control where it's actually going. Or do I have anything else I can use? Oh, I could use oops. Okay, I think I might silver that. Okay, so I think I might just take the brush, and I'm going to use some, the color is Hailstone, and it's like I should actually put it down here. It's like, what do you call it, like a gel, and it's called Hailstone, and it's an eye-zinc product. And it does water down, so I'm going to put a little water to the side because I don't want to paint too thickly. I just want to get that pearly essence on there, and I don't want it to be too watery. So you could do this with silver paint. Oh, it's very clear. But it's taking down that aggressive whiteness a bit. I might have to do more than one layer, which is fine. Alright, I'm going to move this around as I do it so I can wipe away the mistakes I make. There we go, and you can start to see it sort of getting a little bit grayer. Oops. There we go. Okay, and I'm just going to go around one more time. Okay, so I just took that around once, and you can't really see it, but you can see when the light is on it properly that it's grayed it down quite a bit and taken out that shock of thick white. And now I think these will go on it better as well. So I am just going to trim a little bit to make these seem to fit in better. Alrighty. So, and I'm going to stand up and do this. So this, I just want to get some adhesive on it, and I'm just going to put some clear adhesive on my mat. Love my mat. And I'm just going to, oops, just going to pop it in like that. Just make sure I got a little bit everywhere. So I'm going to put him on the side, about halfway. There we go. And I'll take the rest of that excess glue off later. Do the same to this guy. Okay, make sure you get it in there. And put it about halfway. There we go. Now remember, these were brown initially, so they're quite a bit different now. Put a little more glue there. Get my tops and bottoms tapped in. And nice thing about these is that they're light. They're not like metal adornments. And oh, I didn't trim this one. Just a tiny bit on this side. Yeah, should have trimmed that beforehand. Because now it's a little bit sticky. All right, so we're going to put that like that. There we go. And now we're going to trim this one first before we put the glue on it. There we go. There we go. That's fine. That looks fine. And stick it in our glue. And there's our little mirror looking elements. Okay. And we get our wet cloth and wipe that down and dry it off. And this is getting all kinds of interesting things happening to it for my junk journal. Okay. So we are almost there. We're just now going to add the flowers and go from there. So I do not need to have this wire stem, so I use my wire cutting scissors and I cut off that. That can go in the garbage. So these guys are going to go up there. I had a little yellow one too. So again, I've got paper flowers and mulberry flowers. And I'm going to use glue dots for this. So we're going to put a glue dot behind this one. Whoops, got to be careful with mulberry because they do biodegrade. Okay, we're going to put the yellow there. And the peach are going to get tucked a little bit underneath. There we go. Spread those around a little. And I have a couple of greenery that I can trim. And these have wire, so you can bend them a little bit. Give them some dimension. And I think I might. I'm going to put it. Oops. So it's on top. There we go. A little bit of leafiness there. Another one. Another glue dot. The thing about glue dots is once you put them down, they're down. Double-sided tape you can sometimes get away with a little more. Okay, there we go. And then in the center, I have a series of these flowers. So I have two really pretty flowers. And I don't really want to cut up. And then some greenery. And this is greenery I recolored. It looked like this, and then I added a little bit of sparkle to it. So I'm thinking something like that. And then this little guy, I'm going to pull him out a little. And just because there is wire on these ones, I'm just going to have him come out from underneath and swing around. Yeah, okay. I know what I'm doing now. Alrighty. So I need a glue dot. I take 2 glue dots because this is a big flower and we have a piece of wire in the middle of it. So I'm going to make sure it sticks down on either side. There we go. There, that's nice and stiff. Puff these guys up just a little. There we go. Then we're going to put this guy in. Oops. Yeah, we're getting jammed up glue dots. That's not good. Okay, well, have to sort that out later. There we go. Oh, okay, again, you got to be careful. Some of the paper that is on the back of these things is very difficult to peel. So you want to kind of keep your finger on it. There we go. Alrighty. And I think I'm going to turn that guy up because he can go over a little bit. There we go. Perky everybody up. There we go. Looking good, looking good. And don't need this much of a tail. Just becomes more of a problem than anything. And gonna get a glue dot, and this time I'm gonna fold the glue dot on here. Ooh, which side do I want? Okay. I'm gonna fold the glue dot in half. Actually, I'll do it. There we go. Okay, now this will fit under here. There we go. And now we're gonna do this one. And this one we're going to wrap with 2 glue dots because 1 glue dot will not be enough. There we go, it's wrapped with glue. And I'm going to do that again. A little bit further down. There we go, now it's nice and sticky. So you can see that I've got it wrapped with glue twice. Okay, and now I want it to go up and under here and kind of come out like a round. There go. And I am going to glue dot that, because it'll stay, but it'll be banging around a lot, so I don't really want it banging. There we go. Alrighty. That's okay. Get down all my little bits and pieces. Okay. Now my butterfly should be almost dry. This one's still going to take a little bit of time, so I'm not going to put him on right away. This guy's dry. He can go. But do I want the big one up there and the little one there? Or do I want the big one up, the little one here, and then the big one? And then I need a sentiment. Or maybe I can have the big one flying out there. Yeah, I think I like that better. Okay, so now I need a sentiment. I'm just going to see if I have something that's already made. I just need something small. So I will figure this out and get back at you. I'm looking for something that will fit in a square. Okay, so I changed my mind and I decided I was going to go for one of these chipboard sayings, and this one says, "So doggone cute." And I think that is perfect for my picture of my puppy. But I am going to change the color to a gray, and again, so that it will blend in. Maybe I might go for a black on this one. I think I'm going to go for black on that one. So my butterflies I haven't put on yet. I'm just going to quickly color this. I could actually pearlize it. Gosh, decision-making time. Do you pearl it with silver? Do you pearl it with white? White, silver. Or do you just do black? Oh, this is cool stuff too. This is icing pigment and it's got a brush of its own. I haven't used it yet, so I want to use it. So we're going to use it on this. Shake it up nice and well because it's been sitting for a while. Okay. And it's got its own little brush. Get the bubble out of there. There we go. And you just paint it on. How simple is that? I'm not worried about the sides because the sides seem to be burnt already. I guess from creating it. Now this dries matte because it's just pigment. It's not shiny in any way. Just want to make sure you cover everything. I'm going to keep a finger hold on this side. Seems to be soaking it up quite nicely. Now I could put some Wincastella on it to have some glitter, which I might do. I could also just, put some embossing glitter on there. This is a really quick process. Holy moly. You could, what else could you do? You could paint it. I don't know. You could glossy accents it, or you could even use epoxy. The company that does pearls, so what do you call it? That are kind of like in a bottle, like stickles. They do a product called epoxy, and they have different colors in that. That might be a little harder, because this I could clean up with water. That I don't know so much. And you'd have to find a way to put it on, and it would probably mess up your brush forever. This has its own brush. Okay, so I'm just going to move it over here, finish off my little piece here. Just make sure everything is completely coated. There we go. 2 coats is good. Don't want to see any hazing from not completely covering stuff. Second coat's much quicker because it's not absorbing as much. There we go. Lovely. Now this piece has some cutout bits to it, so I'm actually going to tap it to make sure that those bits aren't clogged with stuff. There we go. There we go. Sometimes blowing it helps. Don't touch your nose to it like I just did. There we go. Awesome. And this cleans up a little bit of water. I'm going to use my paper towel. It takes a minute for the water to bleed into it. Get that out of the way. It's like when it gets on your mat, it's like acrylic paint. You have to soak it a little bit so it skims off easier. Okay. There we go. And a little bit of elbow grease, and it comes right off. There we go. And you can clean up as you go, because that's the best way to do it, because otherwise you end up with a huge amount of cleaning later on. All right, I have lots of black spots on my mat because I have scratches, and then wherever you have a scratch, if something gets in it, it sticks. Alrighty. A little bit of water. Okay. So, oops, I probably should have soaked that, but I forgot. So this is where this baby is going to go. Right there. So doggone cute. I think it's going to look awesome there. Now it's still a little wet, but I can do my tacky glue on the back. And I'm just, just dotting. Don't want to have a lot on there like that. So I just splurged a whole whack of it out there. I really don't want that much. I just want little daubby bits. I have the cap on my mouth if you're wondering why I sound strange. Alrighty. And again, this is made out of MDF, not wood, so while it's wet, it's extra sensitive and can bend and break and fold, so you want to be careful. There you go. All right. That's just going to be way too much over there. I'm going to scrape some off. There's the cap. Okay. Now I'm going to stand up when I do this because I want to be able to see. I want to put it on a bit of an angle. Move my page up so you can see everything. So doggone cute. Perfect. So I'm just going to use the end of my paintbrush to push that down a tad. I don't want to put my fingers on it because I've got glue on my fingers. There we go. Just make sure those end bits are in there. Awesome. And she's done. Look at how pretty that. Oh, she's not done. This is still wet, so you'll have to see the finished picture on the video, like on the intro to the video. This one I can put down. Easier just to put this with a bit of glue. And it's nicely curling. It's mulberry paper, so it has its own natural sort of way to be. And I think that's very pretty. Not super girly, but I like it. I like the mink gray in the background there, mink brown, whatever you want to call it, brown gray. I think that looks pretty cool. Now this is an interesting piece. I just don't know. It's just almost like adding too much. Yeah, I don't really want to add that. All right. So here you have it. This is your finished image, and you will see it with a photo in it when you see this video. Thank you very much for joining me. Have a great week. Bye. Or weekend. Bye.